Picture something older than the sun itself, older than the Earth, older than every planet, older than the ground under your feet. Now, picture it drifting quietly past our little corner of space, and then leaving forever. That actually happened. And a space telescope managed to read its birth certificate before it slipped away. Stick around, because the ending flips everything you think you know. By the time we're done, one weird gas is going to rewrite how old this thing really is. Let me take you back to a summer day not long ago. A robotic sky survey down in Chile spots a faint little dot. Nothing unusual about a dot, except this one is moving wrong, way too fast, on the wrong kind of path. And when they went back and dug through older photos, there it was, hiding in earlier images for weeks, quietly creeping across the sky. Several different telescopes had caught it, and nobody had noticed a thing. Now, the comets we know loop around the sun and swing back. This thing wasn't looping. It was on a one-way road, falling in, whipping around, and shooting straight back out into the galaxy. And that can only mean one thing. It didn't come from here. It came from somewhere else entirely, another star system, light years away. And here's what makes it so special. In all of human history, we have only ever caught 3 of these interstellar visitors. The first 2 just zipped through and left us guessing. This one, the third, decided to show off. The very first one was basically a dry, silent rock that gave up almost nothing. The second was a comet, sure, but a boringly familiar one, built a lot like ours. This visitor was neither. It came in loud, a real comet, glowing, with a fuzzy cloud of gas and a tail streaming behind it. But its insides, as we'd soon find out, belonged to no neighborhood we know. Finally, a chance to actually see what another star system is made of. The team that found it named it 3i Atlas, and every big telescope on the planet swung around to stare. Hubble, the giant scopes in Chile, and the James Webb Space Telescope. Everyone wanted to look before it vanished. Because that's the cruel part. This was a one-night-only show. It came in, and it's already on its way out, never coming back. So, why the mad rush to study it? Because a piece of another solar system had just landed in our backyard. When does that ever happen? And before you start worrying, no, it was never coming anywhere near us. At its closest, it stayed way out past the moon, past Mars, minding its own business. This was a flyby to watch, not a rock to fear. And then Webb pointed its instruments at the comet, and things got strange. See, every comet is basically a dirty snowball, mostly water ice, a little carbon dioxide, the usual recipe. This one broke the recipe. It was pumping out roughly 8 times more carbon dioxide than water. That's backwards. Completely backwards from anything born in our neighborhood. Then it got weirder. The comet had nickel in it, a shiny metal, but almost no iron. In nature, those two usually travel together like salt and pepper. Finding one without the other really raised some eyebrows. And then there was the dust. A normal comet blows its dust away from the sun, like hair in the wind. This one fired a jet of dust the wrong way, straight toward the sun. Astronomers stared at that picture for a very long time, and as it swung near the sun, it did something else odd. It brightened faster than just about any comet on record, and it took on a strange, cold, bluish glow. So, let me ask you something. Weird path, weird gases, weird jets, weird color. If you were online back then, you can guess where this went. One Harvard scientist floated the big idea. What if it's not a comet at all? What if it's a spaceship? He pointed at the strange glow, the odd jets, the way it passed close to several planets. And the internet, of course, completely lost its mind. Headlines everywhere. Alien probe, first contact. But here's the thing about real science. It doesn't just shout aliens, and it doesn't just roll its eyes either. It takes each strange claim, one by one, and it tests it. And every single one of those impossible quirks turned out to have a calm, natural answer. The bluish glow, normal for these gases. The backwards jets, just how this kind of ice breaks apart in sunlight. The metal mix, the wild path, the sudden brightening. All of it fit a comet, not a machine. Every quirk was exactly what you'd expect from a rock, built in a very different place than ours. Not a spaceship. Something even stranger, honestly. Then came the headline almost everyone missed. For the very first time, a telescope sniffed out methane on a visitor from another star. methane, the same stuff burning in your kitchen stove, frozen inside a traveler from across the galaxy. Nobody had ever caught that gas on an interstellar object before. And that one gas is the key to the whole mystery. Because here's what chemists can do that honestly feels like magic. They can read a gas like a clock. See, atoms come in slightly heavier and lighter versions of themselves. And the exact mix depends on how cold and how ancient the place was where everything first froze. It's a fingerprint, a chemical timestamp locked inside the ice. And this comet's fingerprint was extreme. It carried something like 30 times more heavy hydrogen than any comet from our own backyard. That is not a small difference. That is a scream that it was born somewhere brutally cold and very far away. So, a little later, two separate teams read that clock. Same week, same famous journal, two groups who never compared notes. One using Webb, one using those giant telescopes in Chile, and they both landed on the same jaw-dropping answer. This comet's fingerprint pointed to something formed in the deep, deep cold, something that came together around 12 billion years ago. Let that number sink in. Our sun is about 4.5 billion years old. This comet is older than the sun, not by a little, by billions and billions of years. It was already ancient, already drifting alone in the dark, long before the sun, the earth, or you were even possible. Scientists think it froze during the galaxy's baby boom, back when the Milky Way was cranking out stars faster than at any time since. They even have a nickname for that era. They call it the cosmic noon, the bright, busy middle of the day in the life of our galaxy. And this comet is a frozen souvenir from exactly that moment, a leftover from the dawn of pretty much everything. And get this, those two teams used completely different clues to reach that age. One read the chemistry, the other read how the comet moves through the galaxy. Different methods, same wild conclusion. When two roads lead to the same crazy place, you start to believe it. And we almost couldn't get close to it at all. Someone ran the numbers on, chasing it with a spacecraft. By the time we spotted it, it was already moving too fast to catch. We would have needed to launch the chaser before we even knew the comet existed. So, we did the next best thing. A probe that was already flying out toward Jupiter turned its camera as it drifted by. It snapped a few quick shots on the way past. Two completely different missions, crossing paths by pure luck. And here's the loneliest part. We can't even point to where it came from. It's been wandering for so long that its home star might already be dead. We can trace its path back near a whole scatter of stars it once drifted past. But which one was home? Maybe none of them are even out there anymore. Think about that for a second. A traveler with no home left to return to, and no home that even remembers it leaving. No return address, no parent star. Just a drifter, older than time as we usually count it. So, think about the timing here. Something that spent longer than the whole age of the sun crossing empty space. And it happened to swing close enough to Earth for us to catch it, in the exact narrow window when we finally built the telescopes to read it. A few years earlier, and we'd have missed it completely. A coincidence stacked right on top of another coincidence. And now, it's leaving, picking up speed, slipping past the outer planets, heading back into the dark for good. We got one look, one, and then it's gone forever. Think about everything that had to line up for this. A relic from the birth of the galaxy, wandering alone through the cold for longer than our sun has even existed. And it just happened to pass our tiny planet at the exact moment we could understand it. A little cosmic postcard from the beginning of time, delivered once and never again. If a 12 billion-year-old visitor blew your mind even a little, do me a quick favor. Tell me down in the comments. Do you think it was really just a comet, or are you on Team Spaceship?